Time is 6 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Thank you. Next, we have open forum. We have no one for open forum tonight, so we'll continue with the next item. That would be the superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent?
Ms. Watts, board members, staff and community members, a lot happened the last month and a half, and we have a lot to highlight, a lot of success from our students, and a lot of great things happening in our campuses. So we're gonna start by highlighting, our first thing is to highlight the winners for the 2019-2020 Battle of the Books, and that's very much aligned with our goal number one. And so Mr. Rana will be.
Good evening, board and Dr. Isais. It's my honor, my pleasure to announce our winner Battle of the Book, Munoz Elementary, from the elementary 14th campus, and then the Munoz Elementary, and from middle school, it's Sada Middle School, and from high school, Dara North High School. Before we start, I want to show video we put together. So instead of talking about the Battle of the Book, we'd
He
like to show
slipped
the
and a
video.
branch went up the ants and scraped him.
Correct. They're gonna help her with her Spanish. Correct.
The day of the competition, we hold 3 different rounds, if you will. We have the high school, in which the 2 high schools compete, middle school, which the 4 middle schools compete, and elementary, where all 14 campuses compete. They are moderators that ask questions on the books that were selected for the students. The judges will ask the students questions, they will confer as a team, and then they will give their response.
Correct.
Every time a campus gives a correct response, they earn points. The campus that earns the most points is declared the winner for their level.
I'm not sure how to describe this, but it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling for the entire team. Through the entire thing, we're just motivating each other.
A fun experience that can actually have an impact in your studies or career choice.
It gave us experience to strengthen our communication skills and work together as a team and just get more involved in learning more about the books.
My favorite book was The Bells, because it talks about how society has a beauty perspective of everything, and it's trying to show you that that's wrong.
Battle of the Books is just one of the many things that we do here in Donna ISD to help encourage students to read, and we hope that these competitions carry on lifelong memories and lessons and get kids really interested about literacy and reading, and creating lifelong learners and readers.
All right, we have a Munoz Elementary, the champion of the district Battle of the Book, and we have Miss Sandra Rosales, librarian, and we have students. Miss Rosales, please come forward. Yes. So shake the hand and then bring your trophy, bring your trophy. We have Alex Gonzalez, Gail Ventura, Manny Valita, and Viviana Ayala. These are the 4 students. So we will go to the Sociedad Middle School, and their coach is Ricardo Soria, and we have students Brandon Morales, Damian Rivera, and Neali Lopez Sandoval, and Alexandra Sanchez. And then the high school champion, Dana North High School, and the coach is Adriana Hernandez, and the students are Daniela Escobar, Jimena Goloria, Ingrid Alvarez, and Lucia Florencio. They are competing at Region 1 on February 19th to 21st. So they are reading all their books. I hope they are working very hard to compete at Region 1 and represent Dana ISD very well and bring the trophy home, Battle of the Book. Mr. Sorry?
Oh, hold on. I can't, because of him. Sorry.
Mr. Soria? This way?
Let me switch on this side. Here, there you go. Okay, there you go.
We want to wish the best on February 19, 2021, and bring trophy home. Good job, guys.
Of course, we want to thank our librarian, our teachers, staff, leaders, everybody, Mr. Rana, everybody for working really hard to make sure our students are doing really, really well and excelling. Next, we have our Spelling Bee champions, and Ms. Betancourt is with us tonight.
It is with a lot of pleasure that we're here celebrating and recognizing our outstanding students for their accomplishments. We would like to see all of our kids in this place, but of course, not everybody can be first place. So we're going to celebrate and honor those that are here today. We recently had our Spelling Bee competition, and these students beat out all the other students from all the elementary and among fourth and fifth grade and middle schools. So we do have the cream of the crop here. We're proud to say that. We're going to start off with third place, Mr. Jonathan May Nieves. It is my understanding that he's not here, but we still want to congratulate him for his awesome accomplishment. Jonathan is a student at Sauceda Middle School, and he's not here, but our coach, if you will please stand up and be recognized, Mr. Guillermo Hernandez. And Mr. Guillermo was a first-time coach, and he was able to take his student all the way to third place, which is an incredible accomplishment. So congratulations, Mr. Hernandez. Second place is Mr. Ethan Tautuo, and Mr. Ethan Tautuo is a fourth grader, right? Fourth grader at Salinas Elementary. We are going to also ask Mrs. Velma Lopez, his coach, to stand up if she's here and be recognized. Awesome job. So let me give you, and then you're going to go by and say hi to her. So here we go.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good job.
And then our first place Spelling Bee champion is Ms. Kayla Vasquez, who is a sixth grader at Todd Middle School. Ms. Janie Betancourt, if she's here in the audience, would you please stand up and be recognized? All right. Ms. Kayla Vasquez has been a spelling bee champion since she was in second grade, and right now, she told me, I think this is her fourth time to place as in first place. Is that correct? All right, so we have a champion right here.
Awesome, great job, congratulations.
Impressive. Go, Kayla.
All right, so if the coaches can please come up and take a picture with the board and the students, Mrs. Push a little bit to the back. There we go. And then we'll have the two coaches, Mr. Hernandez and Ms. Vasquez. If you can please come up and take a picture. There we go.
I won't come out on that one.
That's okay. All right, and I almost forgot, last but not least, of course, if the parents of these students can please stand up and be recognized. Thank you, parents, for your hard work. Thank you so much. All right, great job, students.
Thank you again to our students, our teachers, our parents, our staff, and obviously Ms. Betancourt for organizing this event. Next, we will be recognizing our Donna High School and Donna North High School Fine Art students, and Ms. Serrana should be. All right.
Good evening. We have both Dana High School, Dana North High School. We have Mr. Vinueva.
Yes, I'll take it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. We're here to recognize some very fine individuals. I know that we usually bring many athletic accolades before you, and I'm proud to present to you all some individuals who outperformed many people here in the Valley and qualified for state, will be competing in the state competition in the fine arts area. As you all know, we have quite a history in fine arts. Our bands, our dance teams have done a remarkable job throughout the years, and at Donna North it's no different. We've seen our band just hit high marks. Our dance teams go to nationals, and we have not only at the performance level, but also the academic level of those individuals as well. At Donna North, I'm proud to announce that we've added a new element to our fine arts, folklorico dancers. They're called Aztecas. They're not here right now, but it's something that we're very proud that we've added. Our mariachi group is also being recognized today. But I want to let our fine arts coordinator introduce the various directors and their students, okay? Mr. Adrian Robledo.
Good evening. I would like to bring up Andrew Mireles. And ladies and gentlemen, remember this name. Remember this name, Andrew Mireles. One of these days, you're going to see some really, really great things from this young gentleman. So, Mr. Mireles, a member of the Donna North Spirettes, performed with the Texas All-State Dance Team in Houston on Saturday, January 18, 2020, at the Houston Marriott Marquis as part of the Texas Dance Educators Association convention. During the convention, there were 5 scholarships that were awarded to the top senior dance students from across the state of Texas. Andrew was chosen as the recipient of the Texas Dance Educators Association Founders Scholarship. This scholarship is awarded to the most qualified student that will be pursuing a career in dance education or performance. Andrew was selected for the prestigious scholarship through an application process that began in November 2019. A panel of elite dance educators throughout Texas selected Andrew as a finalist due to his many incredible academic, dance, and community distinctions. Andrew was awarded the scholarship in the amount of $3,000 for his college education. In the history of the Texas Dance Educators Association, there have been a few amount of winners from the Rio Grande Valley. 2 of them have been from Donner North High School, and Andrew being the second one. And also, Andrew was the first male student in Texas to have received this award. I would like to recognize his dance instructor, Ms. Desiree Cano, spirit dance instructor. And also Andrew's parents. I know his mother is here tonight, Mr. Juan and Vanessa Mireles. And so we'd like to congratulate Andrew. He has been incredible over these years. I'm sure everybody has heard about Andrew. He walks into a room and he immediately lights the place up. So he's going to do a great job in college and beyond. Congratulations, Andrew.
Congratulations, I'm so proud of you. Yes, he's little.
Good job, man. Good job. How are you? Good job.
This is when I don't mind Mr. Villanueva being here.
I can't see that guy. You good?
Next up, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to recognize our Donner North High School Mariachi Azteca. If they could please come forward. And so just a little bit about the Mariachi Azteca. They recently competed at the Region 28 UIL Solo and Ensemble Contest on February 1st in San Benito. The Mariachi performed extremely well and received a Division I rating. Mariachi Azteca will now advance to the State Mariachi Competition, which will be held on February 21st at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley Performing Arts Center. Mariachi programs from across the state will be competing to vie for the state title. The Mariachi performs at 3:00 p.m. We would like to wish them all the very best on their final competition. We would like to recognize the incredible students from Mariachi Azteca that are here. We have Ernesto Alvarado, Samantha Gonzalez, Angelica Martinez, Alejandra Reyes, Melanie Salazar, Rocio Santiago, Jose Zuniga, and Gabriela Elizondo. And the instructors for Mariachi Azteca are Mr. Nathan Garcia and Ms. Rosemary Patlan. No, it's okay. Take a picture.
All the way back.
This is their moment. Officer, they contact you. I had emailed you the other day, but it's about clarification on the UIL. They're leaving it to the discretion of the districts, but I just need to find out to see what to do. But I'll, yes.
Dr. Mary.
And I'd also like to recognize any parents of Mariachi Azteca students out in the audience. Thank you for being here. It's okay. I would also like to recognize 2 band students, and I talked to Mr. Villanueva about it, and I told him, sir, they're not going to be able to make it, and he told me, well, just, still recognize them. The reason being because they're 2 All-Staters from the Donna North Band, and they were so worried about missing their homework for the next few days and turning in their homework that's due already. And so they decided, they told me, sir, we cannot make it to the meeting. Can we do another board meeting? I said, sure, I understand, because they're very good students. But yes, we have 2 All-State band members. We have Lisa de la Garza, who plays 2nd chair in the state of Texas on tenor trombone, and it's extremely hard to do it, especially as a young lady. She did very well. We also have Pablo Ramon, who is a returning All-Stater. He's a 2nd-year All-Stater, and they're going to be traveling to San Antonio along with myself tomorrow, and they're going to be putting on they're going to rehearse for the next 3 days, and then on Saturday they're going to be putting on a concert. And it's an incredible experience, because you have music educators from across the world that come in to Texas to see the Texas Music Educators Association clinic and convention. So it's a really huge thing. So if you're in the neighborhood Saturday, San Antonio, Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, they will be performing in concert that day. And so it's going to be an incredible experience, but, I would just like to recognize those students and hopefully bring them before you at some point so they can be recognized. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And definitely we want to recognize Mr. Adrian Robledo for his achievements.
For the picture.
Yeah. Very humble and very nice gentleman. Thank you very much for your hard work.
Great job, sir. Congratulations.
You're a second team left.
That's what I was.
Yes, we're taking a picture. He has to come out in the picture.
I can stand with
Put the folder away.
Can you see Miss Watson? Well, now, hold on, Mr. Ram, now you're covering me.
The switch? Yeah.
I'm good. We're good, we're good, we're okay.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great job.
Great job, sir.
Great job, Mr. Robledo. The literacy plan.
Yeah.
One of the principles we
It's an amazing one, very nicely recognized. I love that part.
No. Yeah. Okay, next, Mr. Rana?
Good evening, board again. You should have a orange folder on your table. I'm very happy, excited, very thrilled to present our Donna ESD literacy plan ever. First time ever we have this plan put together. Before I even start, I want to recognize our committee who put this plan together. If you are in the audience, please stand up to be recognized. So this is the brain behind it. So I listed their name at the end. The table of content, I have given you a book, which is our literacy plan. And then on this side, you'll have a PowerPoint, the PowerPoint I'm presenting. So the book is our guide, how we are going to promote our literacy in our district. So these are the table of content of this book, starting from the overview all the way to the committee member. So there are 5 components in this literacy plan. The first is strengthening literacy development across the content area. Second, literacy intervention for struggling readers and writers. School policies, structure and culture for supporting literacy. Building leadership capacity and supporting teachers to improve instruction. So these are the 5 components of this literacy plan. So I'm highlighting a few of the action that we are going to take in order to promote the literacy. So this is if you look at your page on your literacy plan, page 7, if I'm not mistaken, page 7. So you see the strengthening literacy development across the content area. So I just took one of the activities. So goal is emphasize and implement shared responsibility and accountability on the literacy plan across the content area. So we are starting August 2020 because we are going to add in our curriculum so we can start every content area. Action steps, shared DIS literacy plan will be all content area, and then so on and so forth. So I want to read everything so that it's you have in the book. The second activity, the goal we have, implement drop everything and read, which called Dear Time, for at least 15 minutes of independent reading time during school. New ELAR TEKS call for self-selected sustained silent reading. So we are starting in some campuses, it's already started, the Dear Time, but we want to go big district-wide in August 2020, so we can implement Dear Time district-wide. And you see the timeline and then the evidence of success. All right, so the second is on, the second component is on page, I color-coded, is on page 10. So it's a literacy intervention for struggling readers and writers. There are several activities and goals are listed. I'm just picking one to present, but there are several, they are listed there. The goal is implement a school-wide writing program, middle school and high school, called Wicker, Wednesday across content area, writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, reading. And some high school, they already started 2020, and we are going to start middle school in August 2020. And then you see how we are going to implement this goal district-wide. So third is on page, the third component is on page 13. I pick one activity, make literacy fun and instill love for reading. So timeline is begin implementation March 2020. The literacy night dates to be determined by campus, but at least once per semester, and begin August 2020. And then you see the action step. The action steps are the first, begin implementation, the literacy fun and instill a love for reading. It will be drum beat. So in the morning, as soon as the school start, they are going to have a drum beat literacy through morning and afternoon announcement in campus promoting books, and so on and so forth. So this is the third, changing the school culture, and then policies and structure. So we go, the next, I want to show you how the school culture can change. So kudos to our Mr. John Mendoza, if he's in the audience, principal at DAP, campus staff for participating in World Reading Aloud Day. So I want to run a video.
DAP, read aloud anytime, anywhere.
Remember when you were a kid and how it was hard to look beyond the next day or two? Hey, that really sounds interesting. Hi, my name is Carlos Silva, and you're probably wondering why I'm reading out loud today. Well, today is Read Out Loud Day at DAP. Some of the benefits of reading out loud is that it helps you read clearly, with confidence, and really promotes bonding.
You can read it in English o en español. Soy una mosca feliz y afortunada, ya que vivo en un restaurante de categoría.
Mi lugar favorito es la leche que sirven en los vasos. En sus ojos se les ve el buen apetito. Adiós.
Hi, this is middle school and we're reading about the drummer boy of Shalan. Oh, why? It's the drummer boy, isn't it? The boy nodded, not knowing if his nod was seen.
It was the general. What's your name, boy? He asked. Joby, whispered the boy. Started to sit up. Alright, Joby, don't stare. I hand pressed his chest gently. The boy relaxed.
You more a damn fool. There's your cheek felt right of the 3 over it. And the others here not much older.
I think so, sir. You want to cry some more? Go on ahead. I did the same last night, you sir. Bye.
This is 7th grade middle school social studies.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of the living.
You need to be careful though. Usually the interest on a checking account is paid on the average balance during the month. You may have to keep a certain amount in the account in order to earn the interest. If your balance falls below the amount, you will not be paid. You might also have to pay high fees to keep the account active.
Liz did not like the nest. I guess a nest is not the best home for a lizard. Ralph said, "Don't worry, Liz, I'll find you a home."
As you have seen in the video, the students, they're dressed that way. This is called changing the culture of promoting literacy. And like we usually say is like the DAP students, like you could see from the video, how much they were into the reading. So that's a school policy structure and culture of supporting literacy. The fourth is the building leadership capacity. And I was just wanna say like this plan is not like a set on stone, it's like a evolving. It's like it's in a flux. We will keep improving, keep adding, and the things they will not work, we will try other things. So building leadership capacity. So I added from lot of goals only one: establish literacy, reading and writing demonstration classroom per grade level. So timeline, we have the timeline, action step, person responsible, resources and evidence of success. Number 5, supporting teachers to improve instruction. The goal I picked to present, implement a campus-wide peer mentorships program. So the timeline, action step, and person responsible and evidence of success is there. So this is also, we want to see the delivery of phonics and daily guided reading instruction in elementary. That's how this phonic and guided reading is working. So guided reading kinder 2nd grade, we have a 60-minute, guided reading intervention 3rd to 5th grade 45 minutes, and the phonic instruction 45 minutes kinder to 1st grade. So you see this is the delivery of phonics and daily guided reading instruction in elementary. This is also guided reading flow chart. We have what we do. We are tier 1 students, tier 2, tier 3 students. What's the behavior in tier 1 students and 2 and 3, and then how you guide them to read at grade level or read more or instill the love of reading. These are the committee member. They really work diligently to put this Dana ESD literacy plan. We always talk about the literacy plan, but we never had the guideline how to really improve the literacy and how to move forward with the literacy. Now we have a guideline to refer back if we want to say, okay, we will need to promote from this grade to this grade. We want to see the students are reading at this grade level to this grade level. Now we have a guideline in front of us to seek information and guidance. And I want to thank you, all the committee members. They were working diligently. They started working since last year. This work is not just like a couple of months. They started last year and finally finished this year, but it's a ever going effort. And this is our district literacy plan.
Thank you, Mr. Rana, and thank you to our committee members and our teachers and principals who really put a lot of time, a lot of efforts. And Ms. Vela, I think, led a lot of this work. So thank you guys for doing it.
Can I ask a question? I just got a question for you. On the evaluation that we have on here, which have literacy and interventions, you have a program, a pilot program that we're using, and it says March 2020. Is that the date that you're going to evaluate your fourth through fifth, and then you have Mind Play, and then Achieve 3000, 9 through 12? Are those pilots going to be concluded by March, or are those going to be ongoing?
Starting.
Started.
Because we had to, there are some training that needs to happen, sir, and a lot of logistics needs to be, first of all, taken care of before we can launch. So we'll be launching in March. But some of them already, some of our teachers, if I'm not mistaken, went through some kind of training already, right? Yeah.
And this would be, I guess my question is, when would the literacy intervention struggling for readers and writers, as this continues, when will it end or have an evaluation complete? August?
Yes, with the year round, so we'll evaluate.
Say again?
So it's going to be a 3-month evaluation?
Are you talking about this program we started piloting? So the piloting, I think, if it depends on the program. Some of them give us about to the end of the year, right? It depends on what program. So we're going to look at what the students were before the launching the pilot. Then after the pilot period, we'll assess.
Just like we met with the Imagine Learning people today, so they are going to open for us the pilot until the month of May, and we can also utilize in summer. So we can really evaluate the program, the effectiveness. So it depends upon like a Mind Play, they give us 90 days. So it depends upon the program. So we want to see the effectiveness. They give us not 90 days, they give us 20 hours. So 20-hour instruction, and they want to see the difference. And they said in 20 hours, you will see the students, they are improved, and they promise they will be at reading at grade level in 20 hours of instruction Mind Play. So we are excited to know what will happen after 20-hour Mind Play.
Nice.
And then the Imagine Learning, they give us until the month of May and June.
Yeah. This is just an attempt to figure out, as we looking at programs, which one of these programs or program would be more effective, I guess, helping our students with intervention and catching up with their reading levels. Okay. All right, Miss, go ahead.
Good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to present some options on the early college high school, an update of possible locations. So after several meetings and reviewing some of our current or existing facilities, we've narrowed down to 2 different options. The first one is the early college high school at the M building. If you don't know which the M building is, it is located at Todd, next to Todd, this area right here. This is the M building, and then here you have a picture of the outside of the building, and then we added one on the inside. So some of the pros for this location is that it is centrally located. It is next to Todd Middle School. Todd Middle School currently uses that facility. They have computer labs there, and there's 8 classrooms / labs available. It has an office area. There's restrooms for students and separate restrooms for staff. It has a teacher workroom, a lounge. It has its own entrance. If you go over here through this side right here, I think it's Redskin Drive. It has its own entrance here. The technology infrastructure was recently upgraded, And the building will be available next year, so we wouldn't have to displace any students. All students currently being housed there will move into Todd next year.
That's the plan from the
And,
principal.
and that is the plan from the principal from the get-go. The cons for this location, it is that it has no cafeteria or eating area. The building will need some cosmetic work. We went and toured the facility. It needs to be repainted, but most of the work that it needs is cosmetic, maybe replacing the doors, I think. There is also an area that could possibly be used as an eating area, but it will need a little bit of investment. That is the textbook warehouse. There is an entrance there. There's not a lot of books, but right now, but I know that, as they come in, we do use that area. But it could be turned into a cafeteria type of place there, or eating area. The parking area will also need to be expanded. This is the only area that they have for parking. So we would need to expand, and there is room to expand. It can only accommodate the first year of the early college with the 8 classrooms. So it will fully accommodate the first year. And the campus will eventually need to relocate, or we will need to add portable buildings to accommodate the growing campus. And it is, again, a short-term solution, because as we add grade levels, at capacity, it'll be 500 students. Our first grade level, or 9th grade, will be at 125. So if we were to do this option, and we wanted to, in the future, wanted to look at different locations or possibly a new facility, we did talk to our architect to get some estimates of what a new facility would cost. And you have an attachment there behind this presentation. And to invest in a new facility to accommodate the early college high school, the estimated cost would be at $16 million. And this includes all fees and the building. It is behind the presentation. You have a detail. Yes.
So we looked at the possibility of using maybe portables, and the cost for the portables was somewhere between $1.5 million to $2 million, and that was supposed to be like a temporary fix anyway. So we kind of thought about how we can be a better steward of our taxpayers' money. That $1.5 million or $2 million we can actually invest in to build, or part of this $16 million. And so using an existing building, it's going to require very minimum cosmetic, work. It won't cost that much. We're looking at maybe a few $1,000s, a few $10,000, I guess. But it will be something that will work with our students. And then we will allow us to build, hopefully, a state-of-the-art building for our early college high school, really like a brand-new building. We'll have the best of the best technology, the best of the best. And if you remember, the last building we built here in Donna was really Donna North back in 2013. And before that, I think we're talking about 15 or 18 years ago. So it would be a great thing to have a brand-new building for our early college high school. I think our community and our students will really appreciate us actually building something that is dedicated to the early college high school. We can build it using, based on the pathways. We're also looking at partnering with UTRGV or STC, so we can actually have them part of this whole project. And would be like a shining star and shining project for our students and the future of our district and our community.
Of the two options they're presenting, the first year cost, this is the least expensive, because really the building is in good condition. We would just really need to repaint it and do some work there. Option number 2 would be the early college high school at 3D Academy. So this would involve relocating the students currently at 3D Academy, moving them into the M building, and starting the early college high school at 3D Academy. The pros of this, again, is that it is also centrally located. It is right next to Donna High School. The building, in size-wise, they're about the same, the M building and the 3D Academy. They have 8 classrooms / labs. Of course, it has its office area. It has restrooms for students and staff separate. It does have an eating area, which is not a full-size cafeteria. It really just has tables, and they take their lunches there and they eat there. And it has what is I think a very important pro here is that it has a lot of room to expand. So there, you see the aerial picture right here. This is 3D Academy. These are, currently they do use portables. They have 4 portables behind. So even now, it's not enough for the 3D Academy. It has all this area here to expand and add to it. So some of the cons of this option, it is that the additional classrooms will be needed. Again, this is only for a first-year fix with the 8 classrooms. The parking area will also need to be expanded. Right now, although the first year we don't have student drivers, so I think the first year we're good, but the second year you will need to expand. Right now, students are parking here in the grass area because it's not big enough to accommodate right now. The parking, the 3 Academy students, and again, a big con is that these students would need to be displaced, moved to the M building, and then open the early college high school at the 3D Academy. So the estimated cost, if we were to do this, ideally we would want to expand the 3D Academy if this was the route that we were going. So the cost to expand would be at $12.4 million. So the difference between a brand new building, a complete new facility, is $16 million, as opposed to expanding the 3D Academy and displacing or moving students at $2.4 million. It's about a $3.6 million difference between the 2 options.
Our goal to our board members, and to our obviously our taxpayers, our community, is not to go for a bond for this. It's actually to use actual saving. That we are working really diligently. Like you remember last year, we were able to finish the year with a surplus of, or saving of $17 million. We may now get to save that much money, but if let's say we save, I don't know, 8 or 10, then we can go back and maybe use some extra money, so we can actually build it without going out for a bond. So this is actually using savings, and that is really what we hope that we'll be able to achieve. Again, being a good steward of our taxpayers and our community. But I think in the long range, or term, I guess this will be a great thing for our students. State of the art, as I said, early college, high school. We are talking to STC, UTRGV, looking for partners. We want to have something really where we want it to be really a shining star, not just for Donna, but also in here in the heart of the valley, right?
And behind it, you have the breakdown of how the new building would be, how many classrooms it would have. It would also have like a practice gym as well. With a cafeteria, everything here included, and those are the costs. So it's a $3.6 million difference between a completely new facility or adding to the existing campus, the 3D Academy campus. If you have.
I want to just add one more thing too. I know it's small kind of picture, but this is where we're looking at possibly building the early college, high school, somewhere around Donna High, whether if the architect is already like doing some surveys there just to give us an idea, but also, as you all know, also we own about 30 acres on the other side of Donna High, so that's something we can discuss further or later as far as exact location. But as I said, we feel very strongly that we can make it happen without going for a bond, and we can really build, like, again, state-of-the-art early college high school for our students, who is going to be built to be an early college high school. It's not a building that we're trying to retrofit so it can be an early college high school. This is something with that in mind, and also thinking about the pathways. So if we want to go a CTE pathway, we're going to build it with the CTE pathway in mind. If we want to go teaching and stuff like that, we're gonna do that. So it's gonna be with the pathways in mind. Thank you.
Any questions?
Me and Ms. Watts didn't get a copy for some.
Oh, okay. I have extras. So I'll pass them out in a little bit.
And again, this is just an FYI. No action is needed at this point.
Have we considered? I know you're talking about doing the M building.
Yep.
Okay. The mixing of high school kids with middle school kids. There's that confrontational situation that might develop.
So we looked. Good question, sir. I don't know if So there is actually, the entrance will be on the side, and then we'll have no interaction whatsoever. We'll fence it, or we'll make sure it's fenced. It's not gonna cost us that much money to fence or separate those like the two groups, I guess, of students. Really, like our our principal, right, Ms. Calderon, is already have planned to move everybody, bring everybody inside. Anyway, so the building was going to be empty anyway, so we'll isolate it or put a wooden fence. Our hope, these are early college students too, freshmen. I've seen a lot of schools where they have those 6 to 12 campuses where they actually have middle school and high school mixed. So we're hoping that, again, we hope that they don't interfere with each other.
I'm not so concerned about the high school kids. I'm concerned about the middle school kids going and trying to interact and picking fights and stuff.
Oh, I hope not, sir.
So it is not right next to Todd, so there is some space, like all this area here. Todd building is here, the new addition is here, and this is the M building. So we could do some kind of fencing, nice fencing, so to separate the campuses so that they don't.
Is this only for 1 year, this plan?
Depending on the option, yes. If it's the 3D Academy moving there, I don't know that we would be able to move it anywhere else without having to do another building, or they would stay there, I think,
No,
long term.
like in the
But if
M
the early
building-
college high school,
Like if the M building, it's only for 1 year, then the second year y'all would need to relocate? 'Cause
Correct.
there would be more students, right?
Correct.
But not in 3D. In 3D, you'd be able to expand.
we would be able to expand, yes.
But I think we have a portable, if I'm not mistaken, there is a portable on the side.
There's one, this one right here, it stayed, this
Yeah.
portable.
Yeah, and so, regardless of option 1 or 2, if we need like another 1 portable or 2 portables, we can always lease them for, I guess, a year or so, instead of like leasing them for 2 years or something. Again, we have 2 options. We wanna like the less, I guess, disruptive to our students, to our community, and also in the same time too, we want to make sure that we are good steward of our taxpayers' money. So that's why we're trying to, we kind of limited as far as option 1 and 2. We don't have more options, if you will.
Ms. Cancino?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there not, I'm just thinking, is there not elementary schools that only have like 250 students?
We do have elementaries with low enrollment.
That maybe that would be more of a permanent, you would have to upgrade restrooms and things of that nature, but I'm just thinking, I don't know about, if y'all have thought about that.
We did visit. I think given the timeframe that we have, I think for the first year, this is probably the best option that we have right now. But maybe for the second year, something that we can look at, and we have enough time to go out to the community and start involving the community, because that's a big endeavor when you start. It's really not closing a campus, because what we are doing would be repurposing a campus. So it's very different than when you just close it and have an empty building sitting there. So we would repurpose.
At the end, we want this, it's really something great to celebrate in our community, have an early college high school where our students can earn an associate degree while still like going to high school. It's a great thing for our community. And we don't want this to be seen somehow negative for whatever reason, right? So it's really, we want it to be something to celebrate from different angle, because it's really a great thing for our community, and it's a great thing for our district and for our students, more importantly.
So if it has no cafeteria for option 1, is that the one option that you are recommending? Option 1 is being your best option, or option 2? Now, since it has no cafeteria or eating space, does that require additional staff?
Yes, it would require us having it working. Either there is a portable building here that I'm not sure it's going to be used, to be honest with you, that we could use as an eating area if it's not going to be used by Todd. If not, we could bring another one. Or that area that I talked about that currently is a textbook warehouse, we could relocate the textbook to another area and maybe repurpose that area into an eating, into a cafeteria, which is actually, it's a nice size. It's a good area.
I know that one time that was the reason that we added the new wing, was to eliminate the eyesore of portable buildings.
Of the
that are
portables,
taught,
correct.
Because, You know, that's where we have a lot of traffic going.
It is a prime location,
Right.
yes.
And, you know, the portable buildings at one time had gotten really out of hand. We had 18 portable buildings at that location, and it looked like a little ghetto out there, you know, and now we've eliminated that.
Yep.
I think there's, like you said, there's only one portable building there.
Yep.
Yes.
That's left, and that was supposed to be, I believe, for the dance.
Dance,
Correct.
correct.
And that was the reason for having left that one portable there
Yep.
was for the dance. And I understand it's no longer being used as a dance room. So anyway, you know, I would say that we should try to get away from the concept of installing more portable buildings there at that location. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but, you know, that was one of the reasons, and the fact that I think when we built that wing, the purpose was to make sure that our kids were not being exposed to the elements.
Right.
You know, and that's served the purpose now. I know that there is a little bit of room to the, what is it, northeast? You know, that if we needed to put a portable building in there, that would be
Yeah.
away from the general view of the people. But now with, I think that Donna, city of Donna is,
It's perfect. He's gonna take
they're
care of it.
expanding the Redskin
Right.
Avenue. You know, there's gonna be a little bit more traffic to that area.
Correct.
So,
Again, we don't want to add, like to your point, sir, we don't want to add more portables. That's why we're talking about temporarily, because ideally we want to build, right? We want a permanent structure. Again, hopefully state of the art. That's the goal for our early college students. I know, and I know it's kind of like, we're going back and forth and things like that. But I did have conversation with, the superintendent, PSGA, the former now. Dr. King, when he first started his early college high school at PSGA, and he didn't start it at McAllen, Dr. Gonzalez, but it was another superintendent. But they both school district, when they first went for the early college high school, they used portables because they didn't have any other options. And then eventually they remodel the Jefferson, you're familiar with it? It's a beautiful building now. They spend a lot of money, and it's beautiful facility they have at the PSGA. And the same thing, with McAllen, but this is just a temporary building, as I said, or a temporarily fixed until we really do something that great for our students, because they deserve nothing but the best, and that's what we're trying to do. Get it started first.
And I think probably what will drive your decision is whether you want a completely new facility, because I think that's the first decision, because that means whether we need to move students or we don't need to move students. Because if you are going to build at the 3D campus and expand, then you do need to move those students. But if we're not, then we don't need to move them, because we can start the early college high school at the M building and work towards getting that the new facility. So I think it all drives whether we want a new facility or we want to expand an existing facility. So the cost difference right now with the estimate that we have is $3.6 million between the two options. So it just depends. I think that once we make that decision, the rest kind of flows with it, because we wouldn't want to move necessarily the 3D students for 1 year and then move them back to the 3D Academy while we build this campus. So
Any chances that there would be bond money available that could?
Bond
money?
You want to say, or you want to? So the bond, the last conversation, Dr. Val, that's a very good question. The last conversation we had with our financial advisor, because I don't know if you remember, we came back to you and asked for some of those bonds to be, I guess, refinanced or refunding. Thank you. We're actually, after that, we actually can go out for a bond up to $30 million with zero increase in taxes, property taxes for our community, up to $30 million. And we're looking at some of other bonds might be maturing. We can even go for, probably we're hoping that once we get that also taken care of, we can go up to 35, possibly even $40 million. So it's very promising. But remember, you have to go out for a bond. It's a longer process, right? It gets approved, then you have to go through all the, so in other words, if we're thinking we want to open this, this campus, let's say 2021, it may push it another year or so, right? Depending on whether we're going to go out for a bond. That's why we're thinking.
But it'll still bring a large savings to our district,
Correct.
because the bond would pay, like, the state would pay like 78% of
About
the
78%,
Correct.
that's correct.
Correct, but there is also, you want to talk about
So,
the DEA?
with the House bill, also what happened was that now we need to have that facility assessment, right? So that's gonna push us back into not putting probably a bond on the elections, for sure not for the November election. So if at any point it would be, in the May election for next year. So then, you know, it's dependent on whether it passes or it doesn't pass. I think it is, you know, I don't know how receptive the community is or has been in the past for bonds, but, at no increase in your tax dollars, I mean, in your tax rate, I think that's pretty good for what it could do to the district. Possibly getting $35 to $40 million could do the campus, plus, you know, do all these roofing projects, HVAC projects that we need to do, a lot of things, you know, address our stadium, a lot of issues that we currently have, that it's very costly for us to put it out of fund balance. It's just unrealistic.
And to be honest, to be honest, I mean, looking at the needs, I know we are doing, you're now already TASB, or you approved their study. TASB is doing a survey right now, a long-term facility assessment, so they're still working because it's taking them some time. But just, we all know our buildings. We know pretty much a lot of from HVAC to roofing to many other things. I think 30 or even $40 million. If we take in 16 million out of it, let's say for our early college, we won't have a lot of money to take. I mean, I think we're gonna need more. What I'm trying to say, we're gonna need more than $40 million to build this, plus address all the issues that as far as our facilities. So, I mean, another thing also, DEA will reimburse some of this money. I know it's not the 70 like the bond, but there is also.
Sometimes they make available the new instructional facilities allotment, so we would apply for that and hopefully get it for the furnishings and that kind of stuff. It's not a big amount, but we will get some money for that, hopefully, if we are granted that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I know, right? So you all probably heard about the brownie story, right? Yeah, I need the PowerPoint, sir.
Brownie's a star.
I know, but also you know, how our students are and our teachers are very, not only very creative and very intelligent and all that stuff, but also caring, right? You saw the students who actually made the, right? The hand, right? The artificial one, using it, you know, oversee the program and also the 3D printer. And that was at Sauceda. I'm sorry, yes, I was a veteran, my bad. And then, but we have a group of our students who worked at Todd to help Brownie, right? Brownie is another star. So we have this short video to share with you about Brownie and what our students and Mr. Lopez at Todd did.
Yo no estaba aquí cuando nació Brownie, pero mi hermana a los 3 días se dio cuenta que no tenía las piernitas de enfrente. Me habló y me mandó fotos. Me preocupé, dije ¿cómo le vamos a hacer? Porque es un perro pues que va a ser especial, no va a ser como los demás. Y esa era mi motivación, cómo le íbamos a hacer para que que tratara de llevar una vida más normal.
Darle la vuelta y añadir esto para simular.
Cuando mira a los otros perros corriendo, quiere hacer lo mismo, quiere andar atrás de ellos, pero pues nomás se queda como quietecito. A veces sí se pone como a brincar, se está arriba de la cama de un lado a otro, les ladra, y cuando se salen del cuarto y lo dejan solito, él llora. Llora porque se queda solo y quiere andar con los demás, pero pues no puede. Mi mamá subió la foto de Brownie y una prima de ella le dijo que debíamos de buscar a alguien que nos ayudara a hacerle rueditas o algo. Entonces ella escribió en el Facebook como un post de ayuda con la foto de Brownie y de otro perrito con llantitas. Entonces empezamos toda la familia a compartirlo y los amigos y todo, y ahí fue que pues hallamos que la escuela nos quería ayudar.
I always make students think about how they can help out others. How can they help out the community to become better? So working towards a goal, solving a problem. And when I was given the chance of helping out this puppy, I said, why not try it? I think that the kids will love it. And I had a wonderful response from them.
I have dogs in my house and I wanted him to walk because I see my dogs running, walking everywhere, chasing me. And I wanted him to walk also like a normal dog.
We started watching some videos and I allowed the kids to decide which route they wanted to go. So they can see how flexible engineering could be and how once they're working together towards a goal, can help them achieve very good things.
We discussed what type of legs, what material should be made it out of, how tall, how low, how much weight should it support.
Todos nos pusimos de acuerdo con esa idea, porque se miraba mejor que las demás. Pensé, vamos a cambiar la vida de este animal, de este perrito.
At the very end, I have the feeling of satisfaction that my students are becoming successful in the classroom and outside the classroom. It gives me that fulfillment. It gives me that depth into all my teaching because they're reaching out the community. They're making a change.
Muchas gracias por ayudarnos, por prestar su tiempo, porque pudiendo hacer otra cosa decidieron ayudar a Brownie.
Yeah. So I was student, I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm sorry. I was like, where is he? Our student, really, as I said, not only they are very intelligent, very smart and creative, but also caring, right? And I think you don't teach that, right? That's pretty much, that's how our students are, caring and humble. And so on their own decided to help Brownie, right? And you know, the good things about it is it's like you know, they build that, and then a couple of weeks later, what happened to the dog, right? Grow bigger, right? So more weight, bigger. So they have to, we didn't think about that. We have to come up with something different. So now they're being even more creative, thinking about how can we be something that will be adjust to the dog as Brownie grows bigger, right? So it's one of those things, it's a teachable moment, you know, something that you learn as you go, if you will. So it's been great. But that was Brownie and our students and Mr. Lopez doing a great job there. All right, let me just get this. All right, and I know we'll go through this kind of quick unless you have questions for me. Next, we have our January Lone Star Governance Monitoring Report, and we're monitoring goal number 2, and also superintendent constraint number 2. And so just a reminder for goal number 2 is really looking at our students who actually achieving at the meets and master level, and we want our goal to go from a 37 to 60% by 2023. And we also have 3 GPMs. So the first one addresses grade 3 to 5. The second one addresses students in grades 6 through 8, and the last one addresses our EOC, high school students, and we want that number to go from 41 to 60%. This is, again, our global board goal 2 progress. And as you see, our goal for the year, end of the year, is to be at 47%. Last year, we ended the year at 37%. We started somehow at 36%, and now it says February, but it's really using the benchmark data. And so it's 41. We are already 41%. So it's again, we're progressing thanks to the hard work of our teachers, our staff, our principal leaders, APs, everybody, directors, CNI, everybody's working really hard to make sure we're progressing toward achieving our goals. So we are, at this point, 41% overall. When you break it down by grade level, I guess, or by GPM, we are at 34% from already 26 in the beginning of the year. Last year, we ended at 33%, and this is for our elementary students. For GPM 2.2, which is our middle school, we ended the year last year at 36. We were at 39, so we kind of have a small drop here at 38, and the goal is to be at 41% for our middle school students, so 6 through 8, in reading, math, science, 8th grade, and social study, and writing, 7th grade. And then for our EOCs, for the high schools, our students are already doing extremely well, very proud of their progress already. And last year we ended at 45%. Beginning of the year they were at 46%, and now they are already at 57% based on the benchmark data. And so the goal is for them to be at 49%. So we feel like we are approaching, again, thanks to the hard work of our teachers, our staff, our leaders, and CNI, everybody working together. And so next step is for us to continue doing the targeted data meetings and goal setting. We want to definitely individualize the goals by students and teachers. We want the mastery tracker by students. We want to obviously share curriculum updates, make sure that our campus is using the PLC frameworks for planning. We are progress tracking, and we are modeling lessons for them. This is just a breakdown of every subject, how many students scores meets or masters, how many took the test, and then, or how many exams, administrated, and then that's the percentage. Excuse me, that's for all students. And then here, when you take it by GPM, so this is would be 3 to 5, and this is where we stand. And then for high schools, for 8th grade, 6 through 8, again, it's 38%. And then for high schools, EOCs, we are at 57%, like we showed you earlier on the chart. As far as the superintendent constraint number 2, the superintendent shall not approve changes in academic programs arbitrarily or without an annual evaluation and supporting data of program effectiveness. The number of changes to academic programs made arbitrarily or without an annual evaluation and supporting data of program effectiveness will maintain at 0 by 2021. And we did not change any programs. We're piloting a few programs here and there, but we did not eliminate anything, obviously. And we are meeting, and we're going to continue with the current practice. Any questions or comments? No.
Yes, just actually a comment.
Yes.
Overall, I want to commend you because overall, as a district and for grades 3rd through 5th, 6 through 8, and then of course, we appear to be on an upward trend of gain. So I want to thank you and commend you and congratulate you, because that's awesome. I'm very happy to see that. So that's great. Just the other item just that I want to point out is just maybe a little bit of attention. I did notice that that Truman Price, I think it's one of our D-rated campuses.
Yep.
There's just a couple of concerns. Those scores still
Yep.
appear to be struggling somewhat. And then I kind of noticed that some of our gifted and talented student populations are
Dropped in?
well, they're like for gifted and talented, usually
Should be higher,
I'd
yeah.
like to, we should be seeing anything above 9.
Yep.
And then just lastly, the only other thing, and I think this one's just maybe just for y'all to be on the lookout, our special ed population is doing really poorly in elementary, clear across. And that's really
Yeah.
concerning. I don't know what's going on, but those do appear very critical.
Yep.
But anyway, other than that, overall, I mean, those are just special populations,
Yep.
but overall, as a district, we are moving very positively forward. Just maybe pointing out some of those areas that appear to be a little bit in
In the
trouble.
special education, just like Dr. Mondes, you said, we are involving more inclusion teacher to be in our training so that they can be more involved than when the training we provide is provided. So we are working toward that way that all the special education inclusion teacher from elementary, they attend all the workshop, all the training, so they can be the loop as they doing the classroom.
Yeah, and only because I'm not used to seeing 0% passing.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing 0% of special ed students not passing.
And that's,
Yep.
so it's like a not, there are three level of standardized tests, approaches, meets, and master. And here we are talking only the meets.
Right, the meets and the masters, that's
The
correct.
students, special education students, they may reach the approaches level, where is in the eyes of tax education agency, they are successful, but we are looking only meets and master.
That
So
is correct.
Therefore, you see the zero, but in other words, they are improving, but they have not reached that milestone where we can say they are at the meets level.
Yeah, I just want to add that those are very good comments. First of all, thank you for your comments, and thank you really our teachers and our leaders and everyone, really, our CNI director, strategists, everybody who's working really hard to make sure that our students are progressing. But those are very. We have to also pay attention to what we used to call it. You call them the groups, right? The different groups, including our special ed needs students. And I want you to know we share the same concerns. So we are working on figuring out how to improve. Our students, our special needs students' performance, and it's working with everyone, Dr. V and everybody. We even have, I don't know if you know, but we did have a consultant who actually came to do a full audit in our special ed programs, looking from our programs that we offer to the way we art students, to where we evaluate students. So we have that already. They came and conducted some focus groups. They conducted that they looked at everything pretty much we do, because we wanted also to see it from an outside lenses. How can we improve what we offer and now what we need to do for our students? So they're working on the recommendations, and once we get those, obviously we're gonna come back together as a big team and then figure out how we can do things better, because we're always looking for ways to be more efficient and do a better job with all our students regardless of who they are.
Do you mind me asking, what exactly are y'all doing at the high schools? Because man, I saw the end of course went up.
Well, then we just our teachers are doing a phenomenal job, obviously working, as I said, with our leaders and with the help of our CNI and everybody. But really, like, I think honestly, it's just laser focus, right? It's just looking at the data, doing great PLC, right? Not just sit and whatever, talk about whatever, just being more focused. But again, I mean, I think we're not stopping, because we want to see improvement across the board in every group and every grade level. But we just, at the end of the day, I mean, we have to give it to the teachers for doing a great job. They're the one who are making a difference.
Yeah, no, I did see the biggest gains in the end of course, and I was like, wow, I wonder that they're doing very, very well. But anyway, overall as a district, we are on an upward trend, so I have to commend you.
No, it's a team. Thank you so much for your support.
So you're saying one of the biggest distinctions that might have led to that was the professional learning communities at the high school level? You're saying that might have been a key place why the instruction's improving?
It's one of them, I'm sure. I mean, we cannot just say we cannot narrow it to one thing, but I think it's really also that our high schools also have more time for professional learning community than our elementary, just because also the schedule they have. I don't know if you know, but they go an A-B schedule and block schedule, so they have 90 minutes a day. Plus, they also have some time in the beginning of the day. to also, if they need to meet or address a few things. So they have a lot more, that opportunity is really to collaborate with each other. I think, and if it's structured well, like it is now, better, I guess, right? And it will produce results. And when you have to,
And I guess what it is, I think it's a really good point though, because it's the combination of things.
Yeah.
But we know that teachers have always been working really hard.
Right.
So there's something like working hard last year, working hard the year before, but there was something different, or the combination of things like you're talking about, the laser focus, the data analysis, the spreadsheet table that you all showed us student by student, like where are they? I just think that the more we can get good at being clear about telling that story,
Yeah.
and then figuring out how to replicate some of those things, that's going to help, because those kinds of improvements
Yep.
don't happen
Absolutely.
easily.
Plus, we've got two very strong, experienced principals. in
Correct,
those
leaders.
two high schools.
Correct.
That's a very big difference also.
Yep.
Very strong principals. both in both
Absolutely.
campuses.
Definitely. Thank you. That's,
So thank you so much.
no, thank you.
Board accept?
The acceptor.
I move to accept.
We don't need a motion. Just accept report?
Accept.
I vote in favor to accept.
Accept. Accept.
Accept.
Board accepts.
Next, as you know, House Bill 3 last summer was a huge bill, right? And a lot of us, including TEA, is still figuring out what they cannot do, and what they need to change and modify, and how it's supposed to go. So we want to share with you a couple of updates. No action is needed. It's just to share with you a couple of updates. The first one around teacher incentives pay, and the second one around extended year instructional calendar. Those are really two big items, and some money is attached to them. And so we want to make sure that we give you an update. So, Dr. Sorolla?
Hey, good evening. I want to start by saying that I'm going to be talking to you guys about a key but optional element of House Bill 3. I'll preface the presentation by telling you I'm going to very quickly go through some of the key elements of this particular component. Do know that at the very end of this presentation there is a hyperlink to a webinar that gives a lot more detailed information on the teacher incentive allotment. So if you have any questions that result from this presentation, do know there's additional support there at that hyperlink. It's important also to know that in this short presentation, I'm summarizing information that really has been presented across the state in day-long presentations. We've had presenters from TEA at the Regional Service Center, at some of the national conferences, dedicating full days to going through the key aspects of this new initiative. I gave you guys a copy of the presentation. Go to the first page. So what was the driving force for this idea, this component of House Bill 3? Well, the Texas Commission on Public School Finance, they provided considerable advice or support to the legislature. And some of the challenges they pointed out through their research were with regard to teacher recruitment, some of the challenges in effectively recruiting teachers throughout schools in Texas, and also the equitable distribution of effective teachers at our schools in Texas, and then of course the retention of teachers in the state. And so looking at some of that data, it really was a big part of the impetus in looking at ways in which we can address those areas to improve overall performance. So the teacher incentive allotment, really what it is a performance-based compensation, but it's also a designation and evaluation system for high-performing teachers. And so the designations that have been identified by TEA so far are recognized, exemplary, and master. For those designations that are applied to teachers, there's additional funding that's tied to them, anywhere from $3,000 to $32,000 in this incentive pay. It's important to note that through this particular system, designated teachers serving in rural or high-need schools, they, of course, they come with additional funding. The funding that is attached to an individual teacher, it will follow them. If they were to change districts, that funding does follow them. And it's important to note that the funding has to be used on 90% for compensation at the campus where they are assigned. TEA and Texas Tech University, they're going to be vetting the applications that are submitted during the spring semester. So they'll be the ones that provide support to districts that apply, but also those who are approved. It's important to note the higher the teacher the designation, the higher the funding. So those are just the key aspects. You'll see when you look at the video the real significance behind a lot of these key elements. So the components of a designation system, these are the basic systems that TEA so far has identified. The fundamental metrics, the ones that are mandatory, would be there must be a system of observation, and they recommend the usage of T-tests, which is currently used for observation evaluation in the state. There's also a requisite of student performance measurement. And student performance, you're going to see I have the acronym VAM, which stands for Value Added Measurement, and student learning objectives. Really, that's just really complicated jargon that stands for looking at student data, pre and post-test data, and looking at whether the students have actually grown from the beginning to the end. It isn't looking at did they pass the test, it's how well did they improve in comparison to similar students. So looking at student performance is a key element of this particular initiative. It's also possible for a system to have optional factors. So, for example, student surveys, staff surveys, parent surveys of teacher performance, and also such things as leadership portfolios for teachers to identify their effectiveness. Districts have some discretion in developing their system. And so some of the initial steps that we've taken so far in our research and our planning would be, the great thing is we have a performance-based compensation system already in place here in the school district. Project RISE, which is through the Regional Service Center, we currently have that model over at 3D Academy and at Rivas Elementary School. We are currently doing multiple teacher observations. I believe it's 4 observations that are done of those teachers at those campuses. And so we're able to give teachers an opportunity to demonstrate their effectiveness through those evaluations. And we already do the student performance measures through the value-added metrics and also student learning objectives. We would like to, in our research and our planning, continue to reference and build upon this model in looking at the teacher incentive allotment. We have so far, the administration has submitted a letter of intent for the first cohort. It was submitted at the end of January, and our hope is that we'll be given some consideration throughout the application process. Next steps. TEA has not given the final guidance on what the mandatory components are and all the required components. We're expecting to get that in the next month. Once we get that information, we'll make sure you're aware of it. And we're going to need to do some planning sessions with stakeholders, teachers, and community members to get their input on how they feel about incentive pay and what works and what doesn't work. Because there are some components of this that are kind of offsetting and concerning. And we want to definitely tweak our system, our application, to address those concerns. April 15th is the application due date. We're hoping to get initial response by May 1st and then final approval by August the 1st. And once again, we're waiting for the application to be posted and more detailed guidance from TEA. And we're really looking forward to submitting this application and having your support to offer this opportunity to our teachers in the district.
Thank you, Dr. Shore. I just want, go ahead.
Well, there will be additional funding from the state coming to the district, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's exactly, thank you. That's exactly why we're kind of put our letter of intent right away. So it's up to $32,000 if the teachers, let's say one of our teachers qualify as a master teacher, which is like showing tremendous amount of growth with his or her students. We, as a district, we can get up to $32,000 to use toward incentives per teacher. So it's a lot of money attached to it. And Dr. Sorolla, I know he was going through the slides. We, as a district, we have to select, do you want to be cohort A, part of cohort B, part of cohort C, and it's really the year. So if you want to be cohort A, you want to start as early as this year, use this year to start giving incentives end of the year. When they measure the data, you can actually start getting the money, and so we can use it toward giving that money back to our incentivizing our teachers, right, who are highly performing, right? And if you cohort B, would be have to wait another year, C, 2 more years, etc. So we did submit it for cohort A. We're very aggressive, right? Because we think really that it's a great opportunity for our district, for our teachers to be able to get the money. There are a couple of reasons why we went for cohort A. Some of you are like, what are you guys doing? Because it requires a lot of work. It's going to require us, like Dr. Shorla is saying, a development plan. How are you going to distribute that money, for example, right? Who's going to get the money? How much is the money? Are the teacher system going to get the money or not? So you have to kind of come up with a plan that is involve all stakeholders coming in around the table and deciding how that will look like. But we wanted to do it for a couple of reasons, again, because we already have Project Rice, so we have 2 schools who are part of some kind of incentive pay, so we can say, we have 2 schools already doing it. Give us, if they qualify based on the data that we're collecting already, give us the money, right? And then the other thing, I don't know if you know that Dr. Sorolla worked at Round Rock. He was in charge of an entire incentive program around Rock, ISD. Was it $70 million program, sir? 25 million program. So he actually was the director, executive director over that entire incentive program that Round Rock did years ago. I also happen to be very familiar with this program because Houston ISD, you heard a lot about Dallas and Houston, but Dallas and Houston started doing some kind of incentive program using federal money. I think Houston ISD was getting about $70 million a year from the federal government to use toward paying their high-performing teachers and leaders. And I was there as a teacher, as an AP, as a principal, so I'm familiar with I guess, a lot of these components. So we feel like strongly that if TEA comes back and say, you know what, we want Donna to be cohort A, that we can hopefully get it off the ground faster than, let's say, another district who don't have the knowledge or expertise to do it. And so we're very excited about it. Again, think about it. Even if, let's say, 20 teachers, 25 teachers qualify, 20 times 32, that's like, we're looking at over $600,000 that we can take and use as incentive toward our teachers and staff.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that when we get that money, the teacher who actually went in there and improved the scores and raised the potential of the kids are going to get that amount of money. That means that the district gets that amount of money, and then, I mean, let's say that we get $32,000.
Right.
But we only give the teacher $5,000.
So the plan, it has to be developed, but there are some restriction or some parameters. For example, you see here, at least 90% of the funds must be used for compensation on a campus where a designated teacher serves. So in other words, let's say those 10 teachers I'm making Rivas, right? We cannot take that money and use it at Salinas or Salazar. It has to be used at Rivas, right? Now, how are we gonna divide up the money? That's something we have to come up with as a district, because we wanna be fair, right, across the board, right? And so but there are some restrictions that TEA put in place, or House Bill 3 put in place, that we cannot just take it, hey, I'm gonna pay myself, or I'm gonna pay somebody else. No, there are some criterias, right, we have to stick to, sir.
So, Dr. Sorolla, there will be a criteria for that designation of recognized exemplary or master teacher.
That's correct.
So to be able to categorize the teachers and figure out.
That's correct. That's correct. And so TEA is going to give us some guidance on what to look for. But at the end of the day, we utilize that guidance, and we have quite a bit of discretion in how we develop that plan. And so it's combining TEA's guidance with our own individualization, and it still has to be vetted and approved by TEA and Texas Tech. So there's still a lot of unknowns. I got to be honest with you, a lot of unknowns, but hopefully we'll know in the next few months.
But those designations are one of the 2 pathways, correct? Either national board certification.
That's correct.
Or the local optional teacher designation system, right? As a district, we would choose one of those pathways for those designations, right?
We have some flexibility, but you're right about the national board certification. That's an immediate recognized status. And so I didn't mention that in the presentation, but that's an immediate. But once again, I mean, we have to include observation as well as the value added or the growth. It has to be a part of our system. There's still a lot of work that has to be done. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the program that I oversaw had a very complex set of compensation guidelines that detailed how you earned every single component, and you had to meet certain parameters. And even with the value added, I mean, that got into regression analysis and really complicated. But yes, to your question, I think.
So probably, what we will do, again, we're going to probably take what Project Rice is using right now. And Project Rice, what they use, besides the observation, the SLOs, the data. So what they do is they submit all student data to a company called SAS out of, I think, South Carolina, North Carolina. And they calculate what's called a value added. So they calculate how much, like the student came to me, right, in the beginning of school year, and they were at this level, right? And so at the end of the year, they took the STAR test, and now they are at this level. And then they look at his students, and then look where they were when they came to him, where they ended the year, like when they took the star, and so they compare and they give each teacher like if you will a grade, right? And they say this is like highest growth, and this one the second. They put on quintiles or quartiles. And so it's going to be something along those. That's how they identify the level, right? That's how they identify if it's a master teacher or that kind of stuff. It's like Dr. Shirley is saying, it's not an easy, and oftentimes that kind of calculation, because it's a lot of statistics involved, usually that's outsourced either to a company to do it, or some district, like if they're big enough, they'll hire statisticians in-house to run all these numbers. Everything has to be vetted by TEA, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this program and that's it, done, right? It gets approved. You have to submit the plan to TEA. TEA said, okay, we'll give you the thumbs up. It's not there yet. We got to go now. We're going to send it to Texas Tech. You see here, both entities needs to approve the plan. So again, it's a lot of work, but we did. The good news is we submitted our letter of intent for cohort A because we don't want to wait on this. Because again, this could be possibly some extra money that we can use to incentivize our teachers and reward them for being exceptionally great teachers.
So we'll give the teachers the option of, let's say, like you said, Rivas is a campus.
Yeah.
And we have a teacher over at Guzman who wants to go transfer to Rivas because she feels she wants to be competitive. Will that be something that will happen?
Those are the details we'll have to work. Those are all that we'll have to work on the details. Now, remember, once the teacher is, let's say, once they are designated, what do you call it, a master teacher, which is the highest, if that teacher now moves from Rivas and goes to Salazar, the money follows the teacher. So now that money is not going to Rivas anymore, it's going to Salazar. So that's also, you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of moving pieces, and we have to keep in mind as we develop the plan.
I think you watched the webinar. I think a lot of your questions will get answered, but at the same time, you probably have more questions afterwards.
Yeah.
Good evening, board again. You should have the blue folder. In the blue folder, you will have one side the TEA PowerPoint, and one we just condense to 5-6 slides to talk about the additional days school year. And this exactly goes along what we were talking a few minutes ago, that our elementary campus the elementary students, especially 3rd to 5th grade and the kinder to 2nd grade, they are not performing at their grade level, and the special population, they are not performing at their grade level. So what we need to do, so that's where the Texas Education Agency, House Bill 3, they are offering additional days school year. So how did they start this work? They said like we have a traditional, like during the summer time, they compare two population. The first population, the students, middle school class students, which is not blue color, I don't know what color is this, green color, and then the other low income students. And then they compare how did they spend their summer vacation. And you see, if you look at the blue, follow the blue, the line, you see kinder to 1st grade, when the students left for the summer vacation, their line drop. So there is called summer slide. And then the 1st grade, you see the same slide up to the 5th grade. Then they compare to the middle school students, they did not see the summer slide, they're green. So they see either they stay the same or they improved, because the middle class students, they have more opportunity. Parents, they are taking them to the library. They are buying the book during the summer. They have a schedule, so they have the resources to provide to the students. So we don't experience any summer slide for middle class students. But we did see low income students that their blue line is declining. So this is that's where they says, okay, what we need to do with those students? They have a summer slide. What we need to do? Those students' score are going low, or they are not reading at grade level. When they go to summer school, a summer vacation, when they come back, they will be even more lower than when they left the district. So that's the additional days for elementary. This is only for elementary, not middle school, not for high school. This is additional days only for the middle school. House Bill 3 adds half-day formula funding for school system that want to add instructional days beyond a minimum 180 days, up to 210 days. So the first condition is that we need to have 180 days on our calendars. So right now our district has 172 days calendars. So, and then we need to go first to meet the 180 days. That's the first condition. And then you can add the 30 days, which will give 180 plus 30, 210 days. In reality, they are adding another 6 weeks. So we have a 6 times 6, 36 week. They are adding another up to another 6 weeks. So it will be a 7-6 week instead of 6 week. But first thing is that we need to 180 days in our instruction calendars.
If I might, I think about 5 years ago, before 5 years ago, I guess, the TEA required school district there to have their calendar, instructional calendar, to have 180 instructional days. I don't know if you remember that, right? We used to have 180, minimum. You cannot go below that number, and that's how you can get ADA funding and stuff like that. And then they changed about 4 or 5 years ago. They changed the way to minutes, and now it's 75,600 minutes. So they don't care if you can go for 190 days if you want, or you can go for 160, as long as when you add up the minutes, you get to 75,600, right? So now, if you notice, they want to take us back to the 180 days because they feel if we want to fund you, give you more money, right, for extra 30 days, well, at least show us that you are here for at least 180 days. And so now with this, they don't really much care anymore about the 75,600 minutes anymore. So they care about 180 days. So they're giving us some flexibility if we want to go this route. So you can have fewer, like shorter day if we want. We can have days where you have like half a day or early dismissal days, but then you need to have at least 180 days, and that's what they're asking us here to give you.
And the half-day formula funding is that the 30 days it will be based on the ADA half-day funding.
Yeah.
So these are the additional benefits we can have adding the 30 extra day for our students, for our community. Teacher planning, improve work day with the job embedded planning and more breaks, and that's what they are saying. They are saying our students, like just like Dr. Isa was saying, we do have 172 days, 172 days, but our day is 450 minutes long. Whereas their calculation is based on the 420 minutes per day. So therefore, if you multiply 420 by 180, you will see 75,600 minutes. So we have our Dana ISD, we have 450 minutes every day. We are adding 30 minutes, and then we have a less day, but we are covering more.
The
so they are saying that you are keeping the students so long, give them a break in their mental break. So that's what they are saying, and more breaks. They are saying increase time for brain break, play and enrichment, academic improvement. That's like we have the subpopulation, like a special education students, they are not improving, we can extend only for them extra day, and so forth. So that's how they are sample financial funding, how this will work. They are saying we are going to give a per students funding for 30 days, additional 25 days. So you go 25 times 30, 750, and then says, okay, if you have 15 students, that will be that much. Then if you have in a campus 34 classroom, and that will be 374,000, and so and so. So then they're dividing into how you can divide the teacher salary and school operation.
So this is for like if you have a campus, and we have a lot of campuses with 525 students. So that would be like a typical, like an elementary campus, if you will. And so that's if we go this route, that will add almost $400,000 to the budget, right? Pretty much. And our teachers, the teachers who work on these campuses, because now they work on more days, they can end up obviously making more money. So this is another way, right? Like, and the idea is we don't have to go district-wide. We can select, you know what, we have a pilot in 1 or 2 campuses, or we can say, 7 campuses. But that's something that's going to require everybody to be on board, right? And most likely their calendar will be slightly different. And again, the idea, like Mr. Rana was saying earlier, it's really this. Like you see how this drop right in the summer and we talked about it all the time when we go through our own data, right? And so whereas like those students who are middle and upper middle class students, because they're reading at home, they're going to the library, going to the museum, they're traveling, learning about history of this and that, right? And so when they come back, they come back even stronger than they left. Whereas our students, it's just probably watching TV, playing games or something, and they are not really learning. So what happened when they come back to us, our teachers and our staff and leaders will have to work with them to catch them up again, right? So by doing something like this, the goal is to help minimize that. A lot of I don't know how familiar are you with some other systems like European, for example, right? So in a lot of countries in Europe, let's say France, for example, or even here we have some in Socorro ISD and El Paso have this. They pretty much have 6 weeks of school and a week off. They do 6 weeks of school, week off. They take a couple of weeks in Christmas, and I think their summer is shorter. I know it won't be popular around here, right? But their summer is shorter. Their summer, I think, about 5 or 6 weeks. But they go almost, pretty much all year, but they have a lot of breaks. And that's what Mr. Ron is saying. You have every 6 weeks, you take a week off. So everybody gets to have a shorter break, relax, refresh, recharge, and come back and do another 6 weeks. As I said, if the closest one I know does that here in Texas is Socorro ISD, which is 40-some thousand students. I think it's an A district too. And they do that. But a lot of other countries in Europe have similar system where their summer vacation is actually shorter.
And this requires like a culture change, the community change, because you are building the new calendars. It's not like calendars of like 172 days, and we have May 28th, we are finishing the year, and then we are coming back on August 19th. So that's not the culture change, community, that you need to redesign your.
Would that be something that like, okay, if we go to 6 weeks and we're off 1 week, now that 1 week that we're off, is central office staff gonna come and work, be required to work? Is high school staff required to work? Is, or is that week is gonna be shut down and no one works, and then we come back?
Good point, sir. We'll probably central office if they are following 250. It depends on their calendar, and so if most of us are 221, so we probably will be working. The only vacation will be off is spring break, the same. So we will be working whereas everybody else is off, because we'll be unless we change the compensation altogether. But as it is right now, we'll be working. If you are 221, if you are 207, I guess it would be different. I guess from we can adjust that because it depends on the number of days, pretty much.
Well, because the change is really about what's for students
Correct.
and teachers,
Not adults.
Yeah,
Exactly.
not
Yeah,
adults.
but then what's gonna happen is you're gonna have employees who are parents who, what are you gonna do with your kid being at home
Correct.
for 1 week and I've gotta be at
Correct.
work?
Correct.
So we're gonna run into this catch-22.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. You're right.
And moving on, so that's what I showed you how to calculate 75,600 minutes. It's like 420 minutes per day time 180, and that's the time you get, and that's why they are basing 180 days. These are the 3 options we can use. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Option 1 is called purpose summer enrichment. So that you, in option 1, you can have a more enrichment programs, coding camp, STEM camp, ELAR camp, lab camp, all those camps you can have an enrichment.
So the first plan is keep everything as is. The only thing, you'll have summer programs. So we don't have to change the calendar as far as the 6 weeks, 1 week off. You don't have to do any of that. Keep everything as is. Then the summer, you can have up to 30 days. It doesn't have to be 6 weeks. It could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks. So that's probably the easiest probably to do.
But the first thing is that we need to have 180 days first.
Right.
So then the key thing is 180 days, and then they give the additional fund. Option 2, it's called intersessional calendars. What we were talking about, that going to the school, taking a break, going to the school, taking a break, going to the school, taking a break. That's intersessional. Like target remediation, what we can do, subset population, we say these students are 20 students, they are not reading at grade level, so let's only bring these 20 students. Rest of the students, they are taking either the longer break at the campus and having long recess and other idea, or just give them the off day. So that's intersessional calendars. Option 3, that's where the TEA is pushing the most. Full year redesign, what we were talking about, that rethinking the school days, revamped 7x6, week calendars, daily schedule change to increase teacher planning time and stand play. They compare with a different country, and they were saying that Japan, Korea, those teachers, they spend almost half of their day to just planning per week. And they have done all this, like Korea, Japan, Singapore. They are done the PISA study. If you have remember the PISA study, this is compare the math and science and reading their level and writing, and they compare the whole world where they are. And Singapore, Japan, Korea, those are the countries they are on the top. And they are saying the teacher, they're spending more time on planning, and students are getting more break, but their year is longer. It's not like we are ending the year May 28th. So that's option 3, full year redesign. So in this, this is a whole like a one-day workshop, what we are just condensing into a couple of slides. This is a comparing the option 1, option 2, option 3. The last column showing the benefit, what's the benefit we can have in our district.
So the next step, we wanted to give you an update, obviously, and give you some information about the next steps for us is really to work with our committee, right? DLPAC. We want to schedule some meetings with them to talk with them and an academic, because we want to see if there is, first of all, if there is any even attraction, if there is, because we don't want to force this right on anybody. We see if somebody or some are interested in doing something. We don't need to go all district. If we have 1 or 2 campuses want a pilot, we can submit. Again, it's not a given. It's not an automatic. Obviously, we have to go through also approval from TEA. But this is something we want to just see how our stakeholders feel about it, right? And if this is something that, at the end of the day, as I said, this is something if we start something like this, it may require some adjustment to our academic instructional year, but also probably will bring some more funding. This money is going to go straight to our teachers and our staff and our transportation if they have to work more days and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next we have our insurance update. Mr. Arias. You got it, sir. Oh, you didn't have it? Let's see. Sorry. Let's see, sir. No, I think you're best if we didn't have it. We didn't have the PowerPoint. Okay. Sorry, sir.
No, yes. Well, I set it up.
You're gonna
you
start
will.
again?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start.
Madam President, distinguished members of the board, Superintendent, my name is Lou Arias. I am with Gallagher Benefit Services, your consultant. The last time we spoke, we were going over the diabetic supplies, and I had some conversations with many of you about reporting. And at the time, that was December. And so think about when claims are actually incurred or when the services are rendered, and then there's a lag. So at the time when we were talking about it in December, we only had claims from October because those numbers come in November, and then November and December. And I wanted to kind of give you a snapshot, a full quarter. And so what you have in front of you, there's a couple things I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over what it looks like for the first 3 months so far under the new program with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I'll go over an overview, and then we'll go drill down by each individual plan. And then I'll make some comments, and then we'll go through, because I was also asked to show the same scenario or the same workup for the prior year with United Healthcare. And that'll give you guys a snapshot of what it looked like, and you can compare, more importantly, where we were in December or October, November, December last year and where we are today, and you'll see some differences there. And so that's the intent of this exercise. There is a lot of data in here. As you can look at, a lot of those look like spreadsheets, and there's a lot of numbers. I'm going to try and stay high level. I think going forward, what we might want to do is have a workshop so that we can do a deep dive in the numbers, and then that way, by the time we get to the board meeting, it's a summary, and the summary will make a lot more sense to you. But feel free to ask some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you. So I kind of already went over it. We're going to go over, so I'm going to remind you a little bit about how we ended up where we're at with Blue Cross Blue Shield and some of the changes that we made and some decisions that were made through your insurance committee and then ultimately to the board that were approved to move forward. I'm going to go over the financial monitor report. That's what we call this for Blue Cross for claims through December. I'll go over the previous plan year with United Healthcare. We'll do some comparisons, and then we'll kind of talk about what we think the next steps are. So if you'll go ahead and flip the page, we'll go over to the agenda, which I just talked about. So let's go to the, I'm going in circles here, hang on. There we go. All right, so Donna ISD is currently with Blue Cross Blue Shield as your medical TPA, and you have Express Scripts or ESI as your pharmacy benefit manager, or we refer to them as your PBM. And you guys are on a self-funded basis. So the TPA is Blue Cross, they pay the claims, and your PBM is ESI, they handle the pharmacy side. And then you have your stop loss, which is the insurance part, with Blue Cross Blue Shield. You were previously with United Healthcare for the medical. They also handled the pharmacy PBM. You may recall they call themselves Optum on the pharmacy side, but that is in fact still United Healthcare. And the stop loss was also integrated with United Healthcare. So you actually had everything integrated with one TPA last year. So currently, just like last year, you have two plans offered to the employees. Now, if you'll remember, when we came to you after the RFP, when we submitted the analysis of all the bids, we needed to make some significant changes to either the plans or the way the district was funding or contributing towards the way the plan was running for it to pay for itself. And so what I did here is you still had a high plan and a medium plan, but when we made those decisions, you had kind of a few things you had to take into consideration. One, we were funding to what we call the expected claims. So we think the claims are going to be here, but if they're worse, there's your gap. And so as a committee, what we talked about is let's fund to the maximum. Let's pay for this in full. And if we do better than that, then that's a surplus to the district. If you fund to expected and you miss, now you're at a deficit and you're having to kick in money from the general fund on the back end or roll it over into the next year, and now you're starting off at a negative. In doing that, there was about an $8 to $9 million shortfall when we looked at all the bids. And so we had to say, okay, so how are we going to find that $8 to $9 million? We can either have the district increase its contribution, the amount that they pay per head towards the plan, which is currently $505, or we can leave that the same and ask the employees to pay the difference, or we find some kind of happy medium in between. Some of it's covered by the district, some of it by the employees. The other option was make changes to the plan that'll offset all of that shortfall, half of that shortfall, or whatever portion we think we'd feel comfortable with. And so that's the whole exercise that we went through last year. And when we met with your committee, we presented all of those scenarios. And so the committee voted, they understood that the plans were, the benefits were very rich, but we were not funding them correctly. They did not like the idea of having to kick in more from their pocket to pay for their benefits to keep the benefits the same. I mean, everybody would love to keep the benefits the same and not have to pay any more, but that's not the reality. So we showed them a couple of scenarios. Well, what if we change the benefits, not worst case scenario, somewhere in the middle, and you kick in just a little bit more now? And here's what it looks like if we leave the funding the same. The district doesn't have to increase their contribution. The employees keep their contributions about the same. They changed very little, but we make changes to the plan to offset that shortfall. And we showed them what that looked like. And after a lot of conversation, they decided we would rather keep our deductions the same and make the changes to the plan. And so we had to make some significant changes. Your high plan has a $3,000 deductible, and your medium plan now has a $5,000 deductible. And so those are just kind of recapping what changes we made going into the Blue Cross plan year. And the district contribution remained at $505. So here's the analysis for Blue Cross, and again, this is claims through December. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going line by line, and I will apologize up front. There are some errors in here, but they are in your favor. Your plan's actually running better than what I have here. I did find an error in the formula on the spreadsheet, and I'm double checking one of the contribution amounts, but it falls in your favor. But this is a snapshot through December. We go by head count, and so you'll notice that there's fluctuation in some of the costs from month to month, and that's because everything is based off a head count. Your 505 times how many employees. And then the fees for stop loss, premium for admin is by employee. So depending on the fluctuation from month to month, that'll change. So the top part there will show you the member count by month. It'll show what the actual claim payments are. So for example, for let's say December, the actual medical claims, because you guys don't pay premiums, you pay claims, was $555,620. The pharmacy piece was $310, $496. You add those together, and it's $866,166. That was what your claims cost and pharmacy for the month of December. Then we look at your admin fees. We call these fixed costs because they don't change. The premium is the premium, the fees are the fees. The only time they fluctuate is because it's based on a head count. So if you look at your admin fees, that's for United to process claims, the utilization of their networks. It's $105,000. Your stop loss premium came out to $174,348. So you have your total fixed costs. So we add that to the $866, and your total plan cost for December was $1.1 million, 1.1. Then we look at the contributions. Your employees are kicking in if they're adding their dependents, because they pay for that. And they are also paying more if they buy up to the high plan. So you've got to take that into consideration. That's revenue that's coming in. And so you put that in there, you subtract that from your total costs, and now you have an employer cost of $771,682. Now we take the contribution amounts up top, your head count, plus what the employees kick in, that's your budgeted cost. The budgeted cost, it's actually, with the corrections, 1.4 million. The actual cost is 1.1. So you have a surplus for the month of December of approximately $219. And so your loss ratio is 83.9%. Does everybody kind of understand what what loss ratio is? When you're self-insured, the best scenario is either you have a surplus, you don't want to have too much, because then that means you're charging too much for the plan, because you're doing well, but you don't want to spend more than you're taking in. You actually would like to break even, or depending on how much of an appetite you want to build up a reserve.
You don't want to break even, you want to reduce costs.
You do want to reduce the cost, but what I'm saying is based on what you're collecting, the scenario where you want to, if you're got $1, you can only spend $1. It's nice if that month you only had to spend 80 cents, because now you're building a surplus every month.
I look at costs, not the budget. I
Okay.
want expenditures to go
Sure.
down.
Yep.
The cost.
So if you look at, and I'll get to that part, so this is all plans combined.
Okay, before you move on.
Sure.
On this particular one for October, what is the total plan cost that you have up there? Because I want to see if it's what I have in front of me. I can't see your slide.
Your total plan cost is $703,221.
Okay, and what do you have as your actual cost at the bottom on the budget?
That's the
comparison?
error that I talked about.
That is correct.
It is incorrect.
Right.
Now, it changes the 17% loss ratio to 50.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I found that error.
Mhm. If you go all the way to the right, it keeps a running tally of where you are for the first quarter. That number actually, because of that change, is 50% loss ratio. I'm going to keep going. Well, let me skip forward. If you want to flip through the pages just so that you can get an idea, flip through the pages. And I'm sorry I don't have them numbered. Here, I'll scroll through. Because what I'd like to show you is by month where you were last year. And that'll address cost, where you are compared to what you spent last year. And so go through the page where you find the bigger spreadsheet under United Healthcare. I don't have them numbered, sorry. Or are they numbered? They are numbered. They're just very faded.
13, number 13.
Page 13. If you look at October, your actual cost was $655,000, but look at November and December. 1.3 million, 1.7 million. So talking about the difference in cost, for the first quarter, you are spending less money than you spent in the first 3 months last year.
On medical claims, but
Correct.
not on pharmacy claims. Pharmacy claims are higher than they were last year.
And you got to give this time to mature. I mean, you can't go just based off of 3 months worth of services.
No, I'm basing it just on the 3 months for this year and versus last year. You're right, the medical claims did go down, but the pharmacy claims went up.
Correct. So that can, here's what you can sometimes equate some of this to. You may have less in medical, but you could have one or two claims that are directly tied to very expensive specialty drugs, and they can throw off the numbers. It's not just a matter of volume. It's a matter of what are the diagnoses that are driving these things. Now, the good news is, what I can tell you is that the next time we do this exercise, it's going to include a lot more clinical, so that what I just said will make sense to you. It'll show, this is how much you spent last year, this is how much you spent this year, and you had X number of inpatient hospital stays, you had X number of doctor visits, and you have X number of pharmacy scripts. The script count might be lower or higher, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the dollar amounts would be lower or higher, because the lower script count could mean that there's people that are using more expensive drugs than they were last year.
Now, I did observe, yes, there is less cost than we were paying last year. The cost is less. But I'm trying to determine whether it's because it really went down or because we have 261 less members than we did last year.
That could be it too.
So I'm like, so really, did we have a savings, period?
Well, and again, this goes to, you can do the head count and the math and the numbers, but think of this. Sometimes you have a handful of people that drive 80% of the cost. So just because you have lower numbers, and you can say, well, that equates to lower costs, and it was not due to savings, it was due to the head count changed. Or the opposite. But it also has a lot to do with what those actual claim dollars are on the people that are your high-cost claimants.
So in the future, can you
Oh,
expand
yes.
on that? Because, the higher deductible, I know people are not running to get an MRI for a sprained shoulder. They're really thinking about it. Before, it's like, oh, I need an MRI. Everybody wanted an MRI, and those are expensive. Now with the deductible higher, they really think about, okay, do I really need this MRI? Because of the cost. So it helps to know, okay, if the copay is higher for the ER, like all the insurances, all the, HMOs for seniors.
ER's trending up on copays.
Yes, they're trending up because people are using them as
Clinics.
Clinics, and they're not clinics, because the ER can charge you $3,000 or $5,000 just because you have a urinary tract infection, where a doctor, the office visit is a lot less. So, and then the lab costs are really high in the ER. So we need to, because that affects the claims, and it also the medication. Yes, where are these medications? Is it the employee or is it the family? And like you said, one heart attack patient can run up a lot in the cost of medications.
So once we get more data, because again, it's only the first three, once we get more data, we'll be able to start populating more of those types of things.
Break it
So,
down.
because for example, when we get through the United, where we have a whole year's worth, you'll actually see your high-cost claimants, how much was paid, whether they're, and then how much got to the stop loss and was reimbursed. You'll be able to see all that. It's just very early. Like, for example, you have nobody right now as a high-cost claimant on stop loss because it's only 3 months into the plan year.
Right.
Sir.
January, February, March is when hospitalizations go up across.
Your November and December, January, spring break, and summer are your highly utilized months because of the time that's available for employees to schedule certain procedures.
Sir, I have a question. When you did your request for proposal on your scope of services, you indicated that you would review data. You put you would review, analyze, and confirm costs. So, like, for example, because I'm noticing that our pharmacy claims have gone up, who's responsible, like, are you responsible for analyzing to make sure that all the costs are correctly being billed, that there isn't anything out of the ordinary, anything that was an error, anything that needs to be fixed?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it you that does that?
It's not me personally, but I do have a pharmacy team that does that. And
They report to you?
they don't report, we work together, we work in tandem.
Okay, and have you all found anything?
Not yet. It's, like I said, it's only 3 months. What typically happens is we check against, if ESI said, this is what we guarantee your discount's going to be, and we're gonna guarantee X number of dollars as your rebates, we look at, okay, so you gave us the numbers, our pharmacy team, which are pharmacists, go back and check it, and they look at it and say, you underperformed on the discount. You said 60%, we got 55. You said we were gonna get X on rebates, we didn't get that. So then there's a true up. We go back and we tell them, you guaranteed it in the RFP. They double check, and between our team and their team, they come up with, oh, you're right. So there is, in a lot of districts in the valley, the 2 districts that I work with in the valley, after we do that, the analysis or the audit, checks are written for their shortfall, because they guaranteed those discounts. And so we do check to make sure those discounts are being adhered to.
Can you explain then why 4 boxes of muscle relaxants, the district was charged $7,000?
I'm familiar with that particular scenario. I will tell you that after looking into that, those were out of network, they were never paid. The district did, they were not paid.
I guess, Board President, Dr. Aziz, what I'm going to recommend is that we have a workshop, because now it's biting into our meeting time. And
Understood.
we've still got a lot more things on the agenda. So if we can set up something pretty soon, so we can go over everything, every detail.
Absolutely.
If it's all right with the rest of the board members, if we can do that.
Perfectly.
Actually, thank you, sir. That's exactly what we talked about earlier when we met before the board meeting, is we need to workshop with more details so we can dig deeper.
Yes,
All the questions that, Dr. Mary and Dr. Valdez were asking, maybe we can have a more detailed report for them, and then they can ask even deeper questions if you like. Good point.
President? Can we do it?
Yeah, let's do that instead.
It'd be best if we best all around.
I think
That
so,
way,
too.
and not
I
only
agree.
them,
It's a lot of
but
information.
Everybody else can have their questions ready. We will review all this and then be ready for a workshop.
Agreed. So I'll communicate that and get that scheduled.
No problem, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can we also, I would like to see you come to the board meetings and give smaller reports more frequently.
That was another question that we brought up. So this data will be produced every single month. And then my question would be, do you want me to physically be here and go over it every single month, every quarter? But you will get the data nonetheless.
Well, I think
we should just have the reports.
And then as needed, you'll request if something looks, and I usually, almost always provide a summary saying, here's for February, here are the things I see, watch for this, watch for that, there's a spike here, and here's how we explain that spike. Or here's a new drug that, if you, a certain percentage of this increase was due to 2 high-cost drugs, here are the names of the drug, here's how much they cost.
when we have the next meeting, can you please bring us a utilization report as well
For this month?
for the 3 months?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, that'll be in the new reporting system that we have, so it'll show everything, number of office visits, number of doctor visits, inpatient, outpatient, everything, surgery, ER.
You can send it out and does his
Yeah.
update.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be.
absolutely. You share with me, we'll share with our board member right
I
away.
probably need to go through those and see which ones are most valuable to you, because it could be 40, 50, 60 pages long, and some of them are redundant. But there is a lot of data. That's a good thing.
We'll just get together with the superintendent and then you all follow through on that.
Will do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Arias. Appreciate it.
Makes sense.
Next, Mrs. Watts and board members, in your packet, you have a couple of things. Statement of impacts for IDEA apparently is opening even more campuses. And then there is also Charter School Briente Academy. It's just to acknowledge that pretty much that we received that statement of impact. Thank you. Yeah, next we have academic services, and we have Mr. Rana to present. I know Mr. Rana have about 5 slides, right, Mr. Rana, about the RTA report.
In 2 minutes, Mr. Rana. Yes, sir. I will make it very short. I know it has been a long evening. In your package, I have a lot of documents. It's very good to review, but I will just pinpoint on certain. So result-driven accountability, if you recall, we used to call this the PBMAS report, Performance-Based Monitoring System report. Now, we are calling result-driven accountability. This report, in nutshell, evaluate our programs, like a special education program, our bilingual education program, our migrant program, our ESSA, which is the federal program, the Student at Risk program. So this is a kind of evaluating the students, how they are performing in each sub-hub. So let's say intervention process. So I want to skip a couple of things. In this report, what we need to see, there are 4 performance levels, 0 to 4. And in this, zeros kind like a 0, but the goal is getting 0 in this report. Like mean you are at performance level 0. 1 is like a kind of, oh, you are taking a wrong exit. 2 is no, good. 3, yeah, you already took the wrong exit. 4th, no, you are too far in this area. So the 0 is our goal. So you see in this special population. And then the other thing this is the first time we have a special education. They have a performance level 2, and they need to do the intervention plan or target improvement plan. In the past, it was 3 and above. So any other program, they are 3 and above. For special education, is 2 and above. So we are going to go. Let's take a look very quick. I want to just not go over the whole PowerPoint. Please pull this report so I can go one very quick, and then we will not go through the whole PowerPoint. So I can explain exactly how we need to read this report. So this report is color coded. The first is a bilingual education star, 3rd to 8th grade passing rate, and they are comparing the district and the state. So I'm going to go very quickly. 2019, mathematics, the first. District rate is 75.2. State is 79.8. So we are little short than the state. Reading, you see we are a little short than the state, and so forth. If you look at the second on the blue, second ESL, you may notice mathematics, but where we are above than the state, 75.1, but the state is 70.5. And you see we are reading little behind, but the rest of the area we are above than the state. So this is a very positive report from our bilingual education that we are above the state, except we have a just reading. And if we look at the The third, ESL not served in bilingual education, and you could see we have very positive trend there. So the first page is our bilingual education program. So you can see the rest. Other thing they added in the RDA report, they are adding also the dropout rate per population and then the student graduation rate. In the previous, they were looking at as a whole. The second page on this report, you will see the CTE, like how our CTE students, they are performing. And then you can see the performance level, district. For example, in mathematics, we are performance level at 0. And that's our goal is. We need to be always at 0 level in this report, which is the best. 1 is not good, 4 is the worst, 3 is not good. So if you look at this is the CTE. We go to the page number, the next is the green, where we see the ESSA, which is our Title I Part A students. And you could see our performance is either better than the state or very close to the state. So this shows us how our students, they are performing. And they are the students, they are at risk student. They also added in each area annual dropout rate and then the graduation rate. Then the fourth population they are seeing is a migrant. So we see the migrant 2018, 17, 18, so they have a 3-year data. So you see in mathematics we see 0, in reading we are 1, and writing we are 2. We do not need to write any target improvement plan, except if it's a 2 in special education, then we need to submit the target improvement plan. Very positive report. If you look at the migrant star EOC, you see all zeros except in ELA, English Language Art, and we are working very diligently not to get to the 2. We're going to keep it ourselves 0. The most we need to go is 1. The next is the page 7 of 12. We see the migrant graduation rate and then the dropout rate. This year they added the more population to our report. In the past, it was just the migrant. Now they are adding the foster care, then they are adding the homeless, and they have the homeless, and then they are adding the military. So they are adding few more population to really see their performance. Last but not least, this orange, you see the special education. And this is the look at the special education star 3rd to 8th grade passing rate. We have mathematics 1, reading 2, and science 1, social study 1, and in writing 3. I just want to point out here, these performance level may look higher than the other area, but it is across the state. It's if you look at the district surrounding our district, the A district, they are at our level, or we are not that far. So if you would like to, I have done the study. So there you can see by district where their special education performance levels are. It looks little bit far, but we are as the state they are performing. The special education year after exit, and then this is the excuse me. So this is all the way to the last page, special education. And special education have more indicators than just the academic performance. They have ISS, OSS. The students, they are more than 40% in the classroom, more than 80% in the classroom. The students, they have a separate setting. There are more indicators in special education that we need to keep our eye on, except just not the academic. At the end, I added this one. This is our summary page, and the bilingual education, and they have there are 20 rated 7, and our mean is 0.3, and any number close to 0 is good. Any number above than 1 is not good. So we already know we need to work on the special education area, and we wrote the plan. Hopefully, the measure we are taking, with those measures, we will reduce this number to 0 or to 1.
Thank you, Mr. Rana.
I also, if I may get your, take 1 minute, so you may wanna see, I have done this one longitudinal study. So it can give you the performance from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. This is a good document to see how our academic department is performing better than every other year. So this is a very, very powerful report. Is there any question I can answer? Okay. Lot of data putting into one sheet.
Thank you, Mr. Rana.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, now we have consent agenda.
Ms. Watts, and board members, I would like, the administration would like to table one item under, I'm sorry, governance? I'm sorry, Lone Star Governance, the board attestation.
Okay, is there a motion to table?
I make the motion to table.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez, second by Mr. Del Rios. How do you vote, Dr. Mary?
Favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Favor.
I also vote in favor. Motion passes. Now we go back to consent agenda to motion for the whole.
Move.
I second.
Favor.
Motion made by Mr. Robert Perez, second by Dr. Valdez. Dr. Mary?
Favor?
In favor.
I also vote in favor. Motion passes. Now, next we have the Governor's Conservator Monthly Report for December 2019.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Azaiz, I'm reporting on the monthly report for December. And the first section is the financial accountability, which is your business office. And everything there looks on target, on time. You've completed your audit. The only thing that's showing slightly off track is the centralized purchasing for the buyer position. I understand that's on hold for now, because they have to respond to a grievance that was filed, so that'll be on hold for a while.
Ma'am, is that position even, well, I mean, I know it was recommended by you, but it's been like, it hasn't been filled since over, I don't know how many months, so is it really needed?
Actually, that is one of my comments. She's analyzing the department and will be giving you an update on that. That may not necessarily be needed. Or maybe she also can realign the people in that department, that she could probably end up recouping some of those duties by somebody else.
So those are other options that you're looking into?
Then the next section is the governance, and that's pretty much has stayed the same. We still don't have the display of the student outcomes, and we have everything else is pretty much on target. You are practically on your full 2 years in March, if I remember correctly. You started in 2018 with Dr. Leo in this program, so everything's looking pretty good. The strategic plan, the implementation, I still think Dr. McMahon probably needs to do a little bit of training regarding the inputs, because I do still get comments from staff, which is part of my write-up in here, that periodically staff will get a comment about, you should consider this person, or you should consider that other person. And really, the staff and the superintendent are the ones that bring recommendations to you, and you have the right to turn them down or approve the position. And on curriculum, I meet periodically with Mr. Rana, and he is really monitoring those campuses. Of course, it's left up to the leadership at each one of those campuses, but wherever he sees, and he's tracking everything. I mean, he's tracking everything. He sits down with me, and wherever he sees that there's attention needed in that area, so forth, he recommends interventions, either by team teaching or tutoring, or you name it, he's doing it. So I feel comfortable with the work that he's doing. I don't know what the outcome would be at the end of all of this for those 5 campuses, but he's doing an awesome job on tracking them.
What about Dr. Aceves?
Well, yes, Aceves, but I meet with him. That's mainly who I've been meeting with regarding those campuses. Mhm. And you're right, because she is the leadership also. Mhm. On the others, it's pretty much on track. Do you have any questions on anything?
Can we talk about the inputs, but we'll talk that in closed session?
In the what?
Closed session
Okay,
on the inputs.
okay, sure.
Anything else?
You-
Okay. Then we'll go next to the LSD Board Tracking Report, January
Well,
2020.
trying to keep in line with Ms. Romero's, I decided that I was not gonna do one this month. No, I'm kidding. I didn't get a chance to get one done since I took a short vacation, but her and I talked, and we'll do a summation for this month and report it for next month as such. But we're doing well anyway.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, next, the time is 8:29. We will be going into executive session as authorized by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, and .084. We will go into executive sessions. B, discussion and possible action of level 3 grievances. Camila Mireles.
I move we deny the requested remedy.
Motion made by Mrs. Reyna,
Second?
second by Dr. Mary. Mr. Guerrero?
Against.
Mr. Perez?
I agree.
David?
Vote against.
Favor?
I vote in favor. So do we get it? Motion passes.
Mhm.
Motion passes. Okay, number 2, Nicole Bailly Ortega. Discussion possible action of level 3 grievances for Nicole Bailly Ortega.
I make the motion to deny in part and grant in part as discussed in executive session.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez,
I second.
second by Mr. De Los Rios.
In favor?
Favor.
In
Favor.
Favor.
In favor, motion passes. Discussing possible action of level 3 grievances on Estela Guerrero, Daniel Lopez, Maribel Castañeda, Ricardo Perez, and Maria Paz. No action. C, discussion and possible action to approve pending or complicated litigation settlement matters and/or matters where the professional duty under state board requires private consultation with the school attorney. No action. The time is 11:45. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Dr. Mary.
Favor?
In favor?
Favor.
Favor.
I also vote in favor. Meeting is adjourned.